So, okay, staying at home, bedroom remixes. If you're staying at home, or if you want to save money on coffee, but you still want good quality coffee, you can make a really good, cafe drinks at home if you have the right tools and you know what you're doing. So I figured, you can see one of the tools right there. I figured I'd go over my own home coffee setup, and which allows me to make almost any coffee drink I want. So in no particular order, we're gonna go over everything. First off, a good scale, a good digital scale. A good digital scale, at least to me, is important because when you're weighing out coffee, when you're weighing out grinds, and you're trying to figure out your ratios. Ratios are another thing when it comes to espresso-based drinks, when it comes to brewing coffee. It's good to have a good digital scale. This one I got on Amazon by Ozeri. It was $30, and it's got, you just need a couple of AAA batteries, but I haven't had to replace the batteries yet, and it's a couple of years old, so this has been invaluable, though, having a really good scale. Another tool to have is a thermometer. They make smaller ones. This is non-digital. This is a thermometer that was actually made for frothing milk. It's got a little marker here for the perfect temperature for frothing milk. But it's good to know your temperatures, whether you're frothing milk, whether you're making coffee. Having a good temperature gauge is important. So there's that. Another important piece, and actually it's off to the side right now because I've been drinking out of it. I've been recently getting into pour-over coffee. And because I've been getting into pour-over coffee, especially this past summer, I was getting into the Japanese cold brew method, which I'm not sure. I'd have to look back and see if I reviewed it in an episode, but I think I did. And the Japanese cold brew method is you make pour-over coffee, but you, again, going back to ratios, you have a ratio of 3/5 of your total water is going to be hot water, as if you're brewing normally, but then 2/5 of that total water is going to be in ice. So you'd actually have a ton of ice here at the bottom of this pour-over system, which is by Hario, and then you would brew your pour-over as normal. What that does, it's almost kind of like the snap chill technology that's come out. If you ever see like snap chill iced coffee, where they make the coffee and then they instantly chill it down. You're kind of doing the same thing here, and what happens is, unlike cold brew, you're getting the full flavor and extraction of the coffee, but then you're instantly chilling it down so it doesn't become too acidic, so you get a little bit of the best of both worlds. Also, pour over coffee is just really awesome. I've been really getting into it, so here's my pour over setup. This is about $30 from Hario on Amazon. And speaking of cold brew, this is my Hario cold brew bottle. So probably going to be busting this out more in the spring, summer, but if you want to make cold brew in larger batches and you want it to be a really easy system, again, Hario's been amazing. So this is about $30 on Amazon. And let's see here, when it comes to coffee makers, sometimes I don't feel like having pour over, or this is good if you want espresso style drinks at home, but you're not like, hey, I need to have quote unquote true espresso. You can get one of these little, this is not the actual mocha pot, but it's basically a mocha style pot, because the patent ran out. But this is my Bialetti mocha, but it's not a Bialetti, it's a Grosh. But these are about, depending on the cup size, and by the way, if you're going to buy one of these cup size, they mean demi-tasse cups, like the little espresso cups. But I think this is like a 6-cup brewer. This is about $12 with just a nice little, if you want to make stovetop espresso. Yeah, so these are like about 10 or $12. So if you're going to make espresso drinks at home and you're not like, must have real espresso, you can buy one of these, pretty cheap. And they all work pretty well. You don't have to get the Bialetti one. And then speaking of espresso, I want to move this guy, so hopefully this is the big kahuna here. Hopefully you can see all of it. You might not be able to, but this is my manual espresso machine called the Flare. There's different models. I bought one that's one step up because it came with a couple of pieces, but it's a manual espresso machine, so see if I can hold this up to the camera. It's going to be a weird angle. But it just looks, has like about 3 pieces you put together. It comes with a little travel case. And what it is basically a base stand with the lever, and then a little section where you put in your, where you put in these other 2 pieces. here is the portafilter, and I got the model that was one step up. They started about 130. I think I paid about 180 for mine. Actually, I didn't pay anything. It was a gift. But it was about 180 because it comes with a non-pressurized portafilter. So I prefer that because the regular pressurized portafilter, you get consistent results, but you don't get as much control. This comes with a little portafilter, and then you heat this guy up manually with a, with hot water. So you have to preheat this. And I probably should have bought out my kettle, but that's also another important piece of equipment. But the kettle's about $30. Just a kettle to put on the stove, has a little temperature gauge, long neck kettle. Good for pour overs. But anyway, you would heat this up, so you'd preheat this, and then you put that on top of here. That fits on snugly. And then you would fill this up with hot water. There's a little line in there. And then you would push down this lever, and you would make espresso, stovetop espresso. The one last piece I bought for this was it's got a pressure gauge, which is actually really handy to see if you're getting the right amount of bars of pressure. And what I like about this system is manual. They do have one that uses electricity, but you don't have to, you don't have to get that one. That one's like uber expensive. But this manual one works, and it's a really interactive way of making espresso. But what I really like about this is modular. Like, you can buy the $130 like cheapest one and then start swapping out parts because everything's manual. So you can buy the temperature gauge later. You can buy a non-pressurized portafilter later. So you can start at like one price, and then as you're getting more into coffee, if it's becoming more and more of a hobby for you, you can then upgrade different parts, which I think is really cool. It's like a modular system. So now we got the espresso, we've got the coffee, but what about milk frothing? So funny enough, when I was trying to froth milk at home, I actually used, this is the smallest French press that Bodium makes. It's about $12, but I wasn't using it for coffee. You can also make cold brew in these too, by the way. I was using it for frothing milk. And just a little pro tip, don't go to Bodium and buy their separate milk frother, because if you look at them, it's basically the same damn thing as this, only they call it a milk frother and it just doesn't have a top, and they have like one piece missing out of the middle, but it's basically the same damn thing, and they charge like triple the price. So I would just put hot milk in here, and then just use this as like a pump basically, and you can get pretty damn good milk froth. Like, you can get like microfoam out of it. So that's a very cheap way to make froth milk, but don't buy Bodium's like milk frother. Just buy the cheapest Bodium French press, and you can do the same thing. And then, speaking of frothing milk, there's a couple of different wands out there for frothing milk. They're okay. I've purchased this one by a company called Subliminal, and it's about $30. I've gotten the best microfoam results out of this. It does take a little bit of a learning curve. It's a little bit different. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but a lot of them have like a little like wire that goes around at the bottom. This actually has a screen, so it's like a mesh screen that clips on, and there's a couple of different sizes, so you can really get specific with your microfoam. And it's battery powered. It's awesome. So if you're really into frothing milk, you really want that perfect cafe style drink, check out Subliminal. And then this is probably the most important tool I have piece in this setup, which is my Time War Chestnut Slim grinder. This guy is about as much as you're spending on brewing coffee, you should probably spend in your grinder, if not a little bit more. This is a manual grinder, and it's by Time War. They're based out of Shanghai. Really nice design, really small and portable. It's the Chestnut Slim, and it's basically 3 pieces. It goes into this bottom piece when you actually grind it. And the body of it has a little top, and that little top comes off. You can put the coffee in, load it in, and when you put the top on, it's got a little lever, and you just keep rotating, and that's how you grind the coffee. And also on the bottom here of the main piece is where it's like a little dial, and that's how you dial in your grind. I would say there's 2 models of the Chestnut Slim. Get the more expensive model if you're gonna make if you're gonna make espresso, because it has burrs that can grind a bit finer. If you're not trying to make true espresso, don't worry about it. But if you are, get the more expensive model. It's about $30 more, but it gets you a grind size that's fine enough to make espresso. And then finally, you need coffee. And I've been drinking. This is what I've been drinking right now from the good folks at Bolt Coffee in Providence. Support your local cafe roasters, people. This is their. I'm usually not into blends, but this is their Hayride Seasonal Fall Blend. It's pretty damn good. It's pretty awesome. So with that, that is my home coffee setup.